Hey everyone, welcome to the unboxing of the E-flite EC-1500 cargo plane. I'll tell you what, this thing is massive. The box doesn't even fit on the table. This thing is so big. Of course, we got Piper the cat helping us out here today. She's absolutely loving this plane because it came in a great big box that she can have as a hangout. And so she's been, of course, really excited about the plane. However, when this first came out, I thought the airplane was pretty cool. I'm like, oh yeah, it's a neat cargo plane. It's a cool twin engine. Yeah, I get that. Oh, it's got a cool cargo hatch. That's kind of neat. And then I like the markings on it, but there wasn't like that instant draw that I'm like, I gotta totally have this plane. That happened from flying it in the simulator. I've been flying it for the last week or so in Real Flight 9, and I was totally blown away with the performance and the versatility of the airplane. Its flight envelope that it has, the amount of power it has is unbelievable. That's really what sold me on the airplane. I kind of liked it to begin with, but yet I was like, well, I'd been a diehard warbird guy. I'd rather buy another fighter plane or, something like that, and maybe like a Corsair or something. But the time I spent in Real Flight 9 in the simulator is what really sold me on the airplane. And if it flies half as awesome in real life as it does on my simulator, it's going to be incredible. I can't wait to get this thing in the air and built. But before we can do that, we got to get this thing out of the box. So, in fact, I think even before I do that, I'm just going to kind of run over some of the specs on it. This thing has got so many specs, I actually had to print them off to make sure I could read through everything this thing has. I'm not used to that. Most of my planes, I'm like, yeah, single engine, runs on a 2200 3-cell, 40 amp ESC, pretty basic stuff. This airplane has so much built into it that I decided I better print this off. I'm just going to hit a couple of the highlights here. You can always visit the E-flite website, Horizon Hobby website, for a full listing of everything, but just to kind of give you some of the really cool high points that I thought. So, this thing will fly both scale and aggressive 3D aerobatics. Me, I'm a scale guy. I like to fly scale, so I will not be the 3D aerodynamic guy. But the cool thing is I have club members that I fly with that are all about the aerobatics. So I'm really excited to get this thing into their hands to see what they can do that I could not do with the airplane. I just don't have the skill set to do it. Plus, I just like scale flying. This airplane will do both. I think that's pretty awesome. How many planes can do that? It can be flown from paved surfaces, grass and dirt, or snow. Well, if you guys could look outside right now, you'd see that we have 7 inches of snow outside and it's only November. One of the things I'm really excited about for this airplane is this is going to probably be my winter flying machine. Most of my warbirds are not really suitable for flying in the winter. They don't want to fly them off snow. I don't want to tear up the floats on my timber. This thing comes with skis. And when you got 7 inches of snow sitting outside, this thing is going to be awesome on the snow. I'm geeked about that. You can put optional floats on it. And of course, living along Lake Michigan, that's another great reason to have a plane that can do floats, it can do skis. I fly off a grass strip on our club, so I can fly off grass. Once again, extremely versatile airplane. That brings a lot of value when you buy it because it can do almost anything. All right, 3S and 4S compatible power systems. It comes with twin 5-blade propellers, which look pretty awesome. The new C-130s have them too, and they're a pretty cool looking set of props on there. I'm talking a real C-130, not a RC-1. Batteries, so it's 3S and 4S, 3200 to 6400 milliamp per hour. I can only imagine how much time this thing would spend in the air with a 6400 milliamp battery. I don't even know how big that thing would be. I've never even seen one like that. You got a couple different options on the flaps. You can have it scale flying like I will, which will have the smaller aileron and more flap, so it's like a full-length flap. Or you can, by changing the linkages around, you can actually have even more, get a wider aileron by linking the outer flap and aileron together. So if you want more aggressive aerobatic maneuvers, you can do that. Like I said, more versatility that the airplane has. Of course, it has the optional cargo door that opens and closes with a servo. So that's probably where my gear switch on my controller will go. It'll operate that. One thing I really do like about this, Metal Gear servos right from the factory. I'm starting to really transfer all my aircraft over to Metal Gear servos. this thing comes with it from the factory. No more having to tear the airplane apart, put in Metal Gear servos. They're already installed. I think the only one that isn't Metal Gear is the hatch, which is fine. But I'm a huge fan of Metal Gear servos, and I don't have to go through and put new ones in this thing like I do on like everything else I own. So very cool. Steerable nose wheel. It has a separate BEC for reliable control. Very nice, like having a battery elimination circuit already pre-installed. Ball link linkages right from the factory. Very cool. Not used to having those. I think I only have one plane with them out of everything I own. So that's just another cool thing this thing has. This is the bind and fly version, so you got AS3 racks right out of the box. It also has Safe Select. My 12-year-old nephew tried out the simulator with this with Safe on. He had no trouble flying it around in Safe. Perhaps maybe a buddy box on Safe with him. Maybe he can give it a shot too. I don't think this is a trainer airplane by any means, but if you have a good solid 4-channel experience and high wing trainers, I'd imagine with Safe you'd be able to fly this as well. Going down the list here, we'll get into the nose cone a little bit once I get this thing open, but you can take the nose cone off. It's magnetically held on, and you can put a GoPro in there, and on the top there's a hatch in which you could put an FPV camera. So I expect I'm going to be using the GoPro. I don't do any FPV. I'll probably have the GoPro out front and record some really cool footage with it because I've yet to get any aerial footage. Guys in my club fly FPV. They're probably going to like the fact that you can add the FPV relatively easily. What else we got? Yep, covered that. No tools required for field assembly. There is no way this gigantic thing is going to fit in the back of my Ford Fiesta. So to get around that problem, you're going to take the wings off. Normally I'm not a big fan of that, but with these attached with thumb screws and all the connectors are there, we're going to get into that once we get it out of the box. That's a huge selling point for me. If I can quickly get the airplane basically into the car, off to the field, assemble it and get it in the air, I'm all about that. The easier and simpler I can make that, the more I will be apt to fly the airplane. The more tools and the harder it is to take it apart and transfer it and plug everything back in, the less I'm going to be likely to fly it. So very cool that you don't need any tools to assemble this at the field. And then we'll go a few more pages here. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all this stuff here. A couple specs on, let's see, landing gear. They are fixed. They are not retractable. I've heard a few complaints about that. I actually think that's perfectly fine. This thing's going to be, it's a big cargo plane. It's operating off rough fields. Fixed gear is totally fine. I also like the simplicity and reliability of fixed gear, especially when you operate off of some pretty rough surfaces. So I think that's going to be just fine for me. You're going to require a 6-channel radio. Not a problem. 40 amp ESC installed. 15 brushless outrunner, 600 kilovolts on that, and it takes two 10x8 props. And the Spectrum AR636 receivers installed in the bind and fly version. So, how big is it? Well, wingspan is 60 inches long, so it's 1.5 meters. So I think at this point, we've covered everything that you guys want to know about the airplane, and if there's anything more, ask me a question. But I'll tell you what, at this point, I want to get this thing out of the box. Let's start playing around with it. I'm pretty excited about this thing. Like I said, this is a plane that I liked, but wasn't in love with. I flew it in the simulator. I instantly fell in love with it. So now I want to get it out of the box, get it set up, get it ready. We're going to unbox everything, and then the next video, we're going to put it all together, and then you're going to see this thing kind of progress from putting it together to set up to actually getting in the air. So let's go ahead and let's get this thing open. All right. I was not led. This thing is massive. It's actually hard to even get it out of the box. It's so big. So what do we have to start with? Well, we have the instruction sheet, which includes a number of different options. Living in Coast Guard City, USA. Mine's going to be a U.S. Coast Guard EC-1500. Plus the paint scheme already is pretty close to a Coast Guard coloring already, so that's what I'll be using. I've thought about being a warbird guy of painting this thing low-vis gray and making an AC-1500 kind of a spooky 2 gunship out of it, but you know what, I'm going to skip all that. I love the coloring, the way it looks like Coast Guard, picking the Coast Guard, but I do love how E-flite gives you a number of different options on what you can make the airplane. I wish they would do more of that, because I really enjoy the ability to say, you know what, I'm going to make mine a little different than everybody else's, and this makes you do that. Just like the the UMX B-25, you can pick any of the Doolittle Raider planes. This is similar. You can kind of make it your own. I think that's a really cool thing. So let's move these off to the side. All right, before we get too far in it, I'm gonna pull off all the tape surfaces here. Like, it's pretty well packaged. I try to get the tape out of the way because what happens if you don't do that, you end up getting caught on the foam and you end up peeling some of it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that away so we can actually start taking it out of the box. All right, boy, they really put a lot of tape in this thing to to get everything secured. There is no doubt about that. So I have a feeling that getting this thing out of the box is going to take me longer than actually putting it together. So get started. We have the E-flite manual, and I'll tell you, this is a pretty good size manual for the airplane. Bind plug is in here. We're going to be sure to review this before we start the assembly process. All right, the first wing is able to come out now. Boy, this thing, it's got a good amount of weight to it. I mean, just this wing alone. It's got a plastic engine cowl here, all nicely formed, a brushless engine motor sitting back in there. Everything's all pre-wired. Landing light located here. Got a little bit of vortex generators on the surface of the wing here. Looks like the gas cap decals from the P-51. We got the navigation light. Decals, no step decals already pre-applied. You can see we have the two flap system here, how it's split. We'll be linking those together so that we have more flap than aileron. We have the ball linkages are installed. National insignias are installed. But yeah, I'm going to show you here. There's a close-up of the how the plugs attached from between the wing and the fuselage. So we'll see a very cool setup. I like that better than my Cherokee actually. That's a really robust setup there. That's cool. I'm pretty happy with that. That makes me feel pretty comfortable. Because like I said, this one I'm going to have to take the wings on and off. Even though this wing really isn't all that big, the rest of the airplane is going to be massive, but it will not fit in my Fiesta. So let's start moving this stuff off to the side so I can make room to get everything else out. Carbon fiber spars. Looks like we got one for the wing, one for the horizontal stabilizer. These are, the wing one is actually solid too. Wow, that's, boy, that is stiff. That's pretty cool. Doesn't surprise me with the aerobatic capabilities of the airplane. It makes sense why that thing is so stiff. So let's move this out of the way. So we got our cat Waffles here. She's going to help us out a little bit. Who knows where Piper disappeared to? She's usually the one that helps me out on airplane projects. The skis. We're going to get these out a little bit later. Even though it's snowing outside, I won't probably get these on tonight. I love how the thing comes with skis right from the factory. I don't have to go buy these. These are going to be very useful because I didn't expect winter to start this soon, and I'll tell you, I'm not really ready to be done flying for the year. All right, we'll dig down here a little bit further. Boy, everything is so well packaged. All right, here's the other wing. I'm not going to really cover this one too much other than, basically say national insignias on the top on this one. Got the red navigation light, landing light. Looks exactly like the other wing. Looks like the ailerons are from the factory default are the long length ailerons. So this flap section here in the aileron are already pre-connected. I will undo that and actually change it over so I have more flap than aileron. I don't need this much roll control. All right, propeller 1, 2. So we got 2 of the 5-blade props. Well, these things are pretty cool looking. Boy, that's an aggressive pitch on that prop too. These things are pretty cool. I'll probably paint the tips on these just as I do that on all my planes. I think it's kind of a safety thing, plus they look cool. So I will, after I assemble the airplane, I'll probably take it back apart to do some final detail work and some touch up, but I do want to run through the assembly process to show people how quickly it can be assembled. So got our props. I'm gonna actually move the wings up here a little bit. All right, we have the vertical stabilizer already here. It's got the servo installed, really cool. It's got the plug already built into it, so you don't have to wire anything. It's just gonna drop straight in. Of course, ball end links on here. Very cool, right from the factory. The decals look good, foam looks good. All set there. Next up, 2 halves of the horizontal stabilizer and elevator. Looks like we're gonna have a spar that goes in between. There must be some intermediate piece that actually makes it so that these are connected. We'll dig into that and figure out where that's at. Starting to run out of pieces here pretty quick. I tell you, I don't know who the packaging engineer is at Horizon, but I'll tell you what, these guys, they do a pretty good job putting this stuff in here. I gotta say, I'm impressed. I'm gonna save the very last, the big thing I'm gonna save for last, so get ready for it, because I'm kind of seeing it now and I'm already getting kind of geeked. Spinners and prop adapters. It's a collet style adapter. We'll make sure we get these nice and tight before we go to fly it. Counter rotating props, you always want to make sure that they spin the right direction and your collets are tight. Make sure you don't end up with one loosening up. So I'm not sure if they're directional or not yet, but I know on my other plane that's a twin, just got to make sure these are always tight. Okay, we got some other pieces here. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, thumb screws, bunch of fasteners, little odds and ends. Okay, all sorts of little pieces inside here. We're gonna dig into the manual to figure out what all these are. There's a few fasteners, some Velcro. Yeah, not totally sure what's all in the bag yet. There's quite a bit of little small plastic parts. Some of this may actually be for hooking up the GoPro or a camera. So we'll figure that out. We'll dig into the manual in a little bit. All right, you guys ready for this? To get the fuselage out? Now I know why the box is so big. This thing is massive. And it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, here we go. Wow, this is cool. Oh man, this is now we know why the box is so big. This thing is huge. Look at this thing. Oh man, this is cool. Fixed landing gear, of course. Man, I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cool. As being a big warbird guy, big history buff, all that kind of stuff, this is not the type of thing I would normally get this geeked about, but I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not gonna lie. This is pretty cool. All right, so let me move the styrofoam out of the way here, and we'll look at all the pieces. All right, well, this is the unboxing of the EC-1500 from E-flite. Everything is out on the table. Everything's out of the box. I'm gonna go grab a couple tools, start a new video, so make sure you guys watch for the next one, which is gonna be the assembly, and I will guarantee you the assembly is gonna go a lot faster than getting this thing out of the box. But I wanted to make sure we covered some of the basics of the specifications of the airplane, a little bit on why I decided that I really wanted to get this airplane, and I think we did that today with this unboxing video. I'm really geeked about this. Really excited. I always wanted a C-130, but didn't really, I ended up not getting one. I spent a lot of time flying in them in Civil Air Patrol and always wanted a C-130, but just couldn't quite pull the trigger. This thing has a lot of the same type of look of a C-130, just 2 less engines, and I'm totally cool with that. I'm really, really, really excited about the EC-1500. I think it's going to be a wonderful flying airplane, a lot of fun, all weather capable, all condition capable, flies off snow, flies off the grass, flies off the water, you name it, this thing will do it. And an opening door in the back, I can drop all sorts of stuff out the back. Who knows what I will find, but I'll probably put some Matchbox cards in there, some parachute guys, and of course, like I said, living in Coast Guard City, USA, I have to go with the Coast Guard scheme. I think that this airplane wears that color scheme very nicely, and it's high visibility. This thing looks just awesome. So E-flite, once again, so far, you guys did an awesome job on this. I can't wait to assemble it and then go ahead and put it in the air and let some of my other friends and pilots go ahead and get some flights on it and do some candy drops out the back and let nieces and nephews run out and grab candy out on the field. So that's it for the unboxing video of the E-flite EC-1500 cargo plane. I'm gonna go grab some tools and be back in a little bit, and let's go put this thing together. If you guys, any comments at all, feel free to leave them below the video, and I'll be sure to try to do my very best to answer them for you. Thanks again.